where Kamala Harris' campaign went wrong, but in the end, things didn't go as planned. From messaging struggles to unexpected challenges, we're breaking down where her campaign might have missed the mark and how it all impacted the final outcome. It was supposed to be everything short of a free ad, a panel of women not containing their excitement to welcome Kamala Harris, ready to introduce her to their committed daytime audience of exactly the type of women the vice president's campaign always hoped were going to be critical to her base. What, if anything, would you have done something differently than President Biden during the past 4 years? Co-host of ABC's The View, Sunny Hostin asked Harris, looking to give her a set for her to spike over the net. "There is not a thing that comes to mind," she said. Even Harris realized she had a problem, trying to adjust a moment later by saying she would put a Republican in her cabinet. Aides didn't wait until Harris was off the set to start trying to clean it up. A Democrat who had spoken with her told CNN at the time that she didn't want to name her differences with President Joe Biden, including a higher capital gains tax rate, a bigger child tax credit, and a tougher border policy, because she thought it would look disloyal to the man who had picked her as his running mate and then stepped aside for her. Late surge of optimism crashes. If the election had been 2 weeks ago, senior aides to Harris were admitting in recent days the vice president probably would have lost. But they went into Tuesday feeling like she had gotten herself to a likely squeaker victory. One-on-one conversations volunteers were having as they knocked on doors seemed to be clicking. For the first time in his 9 years dominating American politics, Trump's character seemed to be breaking through as an actual weight on people who wanted to vote for him. Former President Donald Trump appears in court with his lawyers Todd Blanche, Emil Bouve, and Susan Meshels for his hush money trial at Manhattan Criminal Court on May 28 in New York City. Leading Democrats smiled just thinking about what it would mean to beat Trump with the first female president, a woman of color, a child of 2 immigrants, a prosecutor, and a candidate who talked about joy and offered up her smile against the scowl that had become his most common expression. Her candidacy sparked in them the unfamiliar feeling of hope. That sentiment evaporated by 11 p.m. on Tuesday. But for many anxious Democrats, this is just the beginning. Going into Election Day, many top Democratic operatives across the campaign and in the states told CNN different versions of the same thought. If this didn't work, with the massive campaign they'd put together, with millions of doors knocked by volunteers who flooded into battleground states, with GOP former Rep. Liz Cheney and former President Bill Clinton united under the same tent stumping hard for her, with celebrities from Bad Bunny and Arnold Schwarzenegger throwing their cultural weight behind her, what will? Simmering internal fights and a revealing pick in walls. Harris' team would have gladly taken more time to introduce the vice president to the country, or to put together an operation, which after the ticket switch in July, woke up every morning at campaign headquarters and in the states feeling behind on planning. But by the time the campaign pulled off its multi-state simultaneous rally across battleground states Monday evening, which ended with Lady Gaga singing her song, The Edge of Glory, and adding in, "I'm an American woman on the edge," on the steps of the Philadelphia Museum of Art, a nervous feeling of maybe having made a movement happen was spreading among Harris aides and top supporters. Democrats try to make sense of gut punch. Biden, most Democrats were confident going into Tuesday, would have never even been in contention. The president watched the results come in from the White House, making a few calls to local winning candidates back in Delaware. Some who spoke with him as he made the decision to drop out in July briefly lingered on what might have been. Maybe he could have won by keeping his numbers even in counties, where he ended up outperforming Harris, or if he'd lost anyway, at least it wouldn't have put the burden on a black woman. He said nothing publicly. Thanks for tuning in. If you enjoyed this analysis, don't forget to like and subscribe for more in-depth political insights. Stay with us as we follow what's next for Kamala Harris and other key players.